So how do window functions help us in the design of the FIR filters? Basically the oscillations, the ripples that you have in the pass band and stop band. Those ripples are due to the fact that when we designed, when we started our design of the filter, we discussed the low pass, of course. Um, Remember, the H of EJ omega. Basically, it's an infinite sequence. It was an infinite sequence of uh, the response of a low pass filter, because h of e j omega is an infinite sequence with a periodicity of 2 pi. But when we created a filter, of course we cannot have uh, infinite number of h negative 1, h negative 2. We cannot have h negative infinity, so you don't have the infinite number of coefficients. So of course we choose a length of the filter like we did in the last few examples. Length 7, the length will always be, remember, odd number. So length 7, length 3, length 49, 99, whatever. So when we cut down that infinite length into a finite length, basically that give rise to those ripples, which means that if you keep increasing the length, those ripples will start getting smaller and smaller. And if you have infinite length of the filter, there will be no ripples. So those ripples are the result of the finite length of the filter that you are getting from an infinite sequence by cutting down that sequence to a finite length. So of course you cannot have infinite length filter, of course, right? So what do you do to take care of those ripples? Like we used window function treatment to treat the spectral leakage in chapter number 4, when we are discussing the DFT and the treatment using the window function. The similar way we are going to use the window function to treat those Gibbs oscillation or ripples. Okay, and the method is exactly the same. You have window functions, which are 5 window functions. We had 4 before, now they have added one more. And now these window functions are going from negative m to m. So they are giving you non-causal coefficients, and you're going to multiply these coefficients by the non-causal filter coefficients to generate a window treated non-causal filter first. And then you are going to move that window treated non-causal filter towards right by m steps by multiplying that by z to the power negative m to make it a causal filter, right? So procedure is, first you're going to calculate the non-causal filter coefficients as we did in the last few examples. Then you're going to generate the non-causal window coefficients from one of these window functions. Then you're going to multiply the non-causal filter and non-causal window coefficients to produce a non-causal window treated filter coefficient. And then you're going to move that towards right by multiplying it z to the power negative m, whatever is the m value based on the filter length, to get the causal window treated causal coefficient. And from that you can create h of ej omega, magnitude response, phase response, to see that if the Gibbs oscillations are gone or they are still present or at least reduced. Okay, so let's look at the example. Example 7.5 is the same thing as 7.2, but we're going to treat it with window function, Hamming window. So non-causal coefficient, it was a low pass FIR filter. You can go back and check that example. It was a low pass FIR filter with the length 5. So non-causal coefficients we calculated were these. Hamming window coefficient Hamming window. So this is a Hamming window coefficient. Sorry, I put Hamming and then Hamming window. Hamming window coefficients are these. And then when you multiply these two, then you're gonna get window treated non-causal coefficients, which are these. So first you're gonna create first you're gonna create the non-causal transfer function, right? And then you're gonna create the causal transfer function by shifting it. So I'm just showing you the causal transfer function. So this is your B0, B1, B2, B3, B4, and this is the causal transfer function. And when you go ahead and multiply, substitute z is equal to e to the power j omega, and then take the magnitude response, frequency response, the phase response, and when you plot it, then this is what you're going to get. So if you compare this, let me go up. If you compare this to what we had in example 7.2 right here, this example, so these are gone. Observe, these ripples are gone. There were no ripples in the passband, but these ripples are gone. How and observe this, the phase response has also become linear from here to here to the middle frequency 2000, and then it goes up, and then you have this. So if you go back, the one thing that you will observe, although the Gibbs oscillation has removed the ripples, but it has increased your or decreased your slope, increased the transition bandwidth. So Gibbs basically treating the window function, the FIR filter with the window function increases your transition bandwidth. But if your filter size is large, then that does not really matter much, because if your filter size is large, then your slope is very steep, almost 90 degrees, so your transition band is extremely small to begin with. So even if it is increased, it is not that bad, as you will see pretty soon. Example 7.6, treat the filter from 7.4 with Blackman window. So 7.4 was high pass filter with let's see, 7.4. Okay, high pass filter with either 99 or 49. I'm pretty sure it is 49. Could be 99, but I think it was 49. I changed it over there, but I forgot to change it here, and I changed in my program, of course, from which I was generating the function. So anyways, so your output response was this. So when we multiplied that by Blackman window and then plotted it, observe, no ripples here, no ripples here. Beautiful. Although again, the transition band has increased a little bit, right? Not significantly, but still. So this is what window function is doing with your design. Okay, the last topic we're going to discuss about the practical design of FIR filters.